Good morning, y'all. What's up? And welcome to another episode of StoryHive On Location with Beats, Eats, and more. I am your host, Kazi. We are broadcasting live right now on the unceded ancestral lands of the Musqueam, the Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish First Nations. Shout outs to the original protectors of these lands and these waters. Our special guest today, I'm very, very excited. We have someone who really knows how to set a mood. This is Tender, aka Christiane, a Vancouver-based DJ who blends 80s and 90s R&B, yacht rock, and original Filipino music into these smooth and soulful house sets. As part of Wild Thang DJs, Tender has played at Lapu Lapu Day, Kamayan Festival, Adidas events, morning disco, and public disco. She's someone who really brings her heart to the decks, someone who I've come to really respect and admire within our street dance and Filipino community. Let's get into it with Tender. I feel like that's how we should have started. We should have said, and more. And more. I was like, or more? It's more like more. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I would love to start actually from the very beginning with you, because I know you are a true East Vancouver original.
Right? Yep, born and raised.
Yes. I want to know, what did music sound like in your home and on your block growing up as a kid?
Okay, so my dad was a drummer.
Okay.
And my mom played the guitar and the piano. So growing up, I grew up listening to Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, Pink Floyd.
Oh my gosh.
So it was a weird space. And then my mom, I knew that she was into cleaning for the weekend when she'd throw on her Dionne Warwick and the Stylistics. So that's what I grew up listening to. And then obviously entering St. Pat's, which was at the time 95% Filipino, a lot of hip hop and R&B. So that's when that kind of the 80s, 90s. And then radio. So that's where all the 80s pop, if you hear me if you hear me play it in my sets, that's where all of that stuff comes from.
With your dad, what was that the kind of music he was playing as well? Like rock?
Yeah. Okay. So he was a rock guy. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's where my influences come from. So yes, you'll hear me play yacht rock because that's where my influences come from.
Yeah, I was so curious about what yacht rock even was. I was like, what?
Yeah. So, Hall & Oates, Seals and Crofts, Kenny Loggins, Michael McDonald, Doobie Brothers.
Okay.
So groovy kind of, not super, 60s, 70s singer-songwriters. Yeah.
How did your parents end up here?
So they both immigrated here separately.
Right.
Typically the story is they meet in the Philippines, they immigrate here together so that they can provide a better life for their kids.
Or one comes first to Canada and then brings over the whole family.
Yes, but they immigrated here separately. My mom with her whole family, her mom, her dad, her sisters and brother. And then my dad came here separately, sponsored by his sister that was already here. And then through friends and stuff, that's when they met. And then they had me. Yeah.
And with your dad growing up, did he play in a band or your parents?
Yeah, he played in a band. He consistently played in a band. His prized possession was his drum kit that he's had since the 60s. And even after he passed, it still had the original skins on it.
Whoa.
He never replaced it because he took such good care of his live kit. So yeah.
How about you? Did you ever tap into any instruments?
Just from time to time.
Piano, maybe?
Obviously, I'm Asian. I hated it though. My number one love was ballet. So that was something that I discovered I was really good at and I loved. So I took ballet at Go Ballet, and Chan Go was my teacher. If you don't know who she is, she's
the peak of Go Ballet.
Yes. The daughter of So I took her classes, and I was one of the youngest to start in Point right before my parents pulled me out.
Because?
I just think the Filipino parents do weird things. They didn't see that my education wasn't to their standard. I wasn't failing or anything, just wasn't to their standard. And so they thought, okay, I'm going to pull you out of ballet, but I'm going to force you to take piano, which I hated. So I feel like in another life, in another dimension, maybe if my parents had kept me in ballet, I would be prima ballerina right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first song or artist that you heard that really made an impact on you, that made you realize like, oh, I really love music? Like, this is my thing.
So the reason why I touched on Stylistics and Dionne Warwick was because those were the two major albums that have stayed with me. So it was Walk On By Dionne Warwick and Stylistics. You Make Me Feel Brand New. Yeah, so those are the ones. But that's also when I knew to stay out of my mom's way because she was like deep cleaning for the weekend.
Yeah. How old were you at this time when that happened?
Maybe 4. Yeah.
Holy,
yeah,
what?
Yeah.
That's young.
Yeah,
That's young.
Pictures. I have pictures. So where we grew up, 441 East King Edward, it was a 2-bedroom house. One bedroom was where all of us slept, and the other bedroom was music. What? So my dad's kit was in there, his full-on stereo system with all the amps and stuff. That
original hi-fi.
Yeah, oh, totally. He had a reel-to-reel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, we still had that too. So, and all the tapes and stuff. So that room, even though it's a 2-bedroom house, we had I think 2 queen beds.
Yeah.
Just pushed together. We all slept in that room.
Yeah.
And then the music room. How
would you say growing up with our cultural background of being Filipino also impacted you musically?
Yeah. So just like most other Filipinos, our parents pushed us into the spotlight. So I definitely sang at a lot of weddings.
Really?
My sister sang at a a lot of weddings.
Oh my gosh. Wait, but what would you sing?
Oh,
TLC? Don't go chasing waterfalls?
No, that's old, girl. I was already like in grade 10 when that came out.
Yeah.
No, this is a deep cut. But Candy, so she's a Canadian singer.
Yeah.
I also competed at the Flip Day Festival that would happen every year at Positive Nations.
Oh my gosh! Whoa! Yeah. I just did this. One of these throwbacks.
Nostalgia. Yeah. So I competed there a few times.
Oh my god!
Yeah. So there's all music, talent shows intertwined with the Filipino community. So yeah, I was deep in it for a while.
So then what pulled you towards DJ specifically? And when did that happen for you?
Well, I just find that it seems to be the progression for a lot of dancers to pivot to DJing. I think a lot of DJs that used to be dancers selfishly get into it because they're thinking, well, I want to listen to this. I want to dance to this song kind of thing. And also, too, I was raised with DJs. So it was always a part of my life. So I met Headspin when I was like 16, and I grew up with all of them. When I was clubbing in my early 20s, we would go to Tokyo Lounge. So
where was that?
It's an ESL school now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's above Kobe.
Where's Kobe?
Kobe Steakhouse on Alberni.
No, I can't see it in my mind's eye.
Alberni, Kobe Steakhouse. So that was the one spot where you would see all the dancers, all the break dancers would go there, and then all the DJs. So all the locals now, Cut Corners, Marvel, Neil Knievel, Flip Out.
Oh my gosh, Neil Knievel. Yeah. That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
All of them would go. It was Neil Knievel's night.
Yeah.
And all of them would go and they would DJ. Headley would go there, Headspin. All of them would go. And I was just in it so much. And I've grown up with it so much. And then eventually just got curious. So I actually started dabbling in DJing back in like 2005. And Blessed was my first teacher.
Lynn! Oh my gosh, I literally just saw her in November in New York.
Yeah, she was my biggest cheerleader at the very beginning. She's like, you should be doing this, you know. I would always go visit her at her events.
Yeah.
And she's like, you should be doing this. And yeah, she gave me my first couple lessons. And then this is around the time that things started to shift to like Serato, like to digital.
Yes.
And I took a break.
Yeah. So wait, this is all vinyl. What we're talking about just now is all vinyl.
It's all vinyl. Yeah. Even at the clubs, they were all, they were dragging their crates and like all their gear with them.
Yeah.
And like, you know, choosing their records to play for, it's all turntables. Yeah. And around 2005, 2006 is when things started to shift to digital.
Yeah.
And I took a break, but really I look back and I think maybe I was just afraid. But I was just like, oh, I don't like digital. Like, what's happening to the art of DJing? When really, that was just a front. I can admit that now. That was just a front.
Yeah.
I think what I was really doing was just I was afraid. I was afraid. And then I took a 15-year break, had a family, got married and stuff. And then, the pandemic happened. So we're indoors. What else are you going to do? And then I was on Twitch a lot, making a lot of DJ friends. Nino was in there. And a couple times in the chat, she'd be like, you should start DJing. I was like, okay, fine. So I got my controller and then just started practicing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I remember this day that we went to a DJ workshop.
Yeah.
Organized by Rami. Shout outs to Rami.
Shout
Come
out.
spin with us.
Yeah.
And you had briefly mentioned this story where you were like, yeah, like I just started getting into it, but really like I dabbled in this like years and years and years ago.
Yeah.
And I love that for you. I'm curious, like, what was it that made you afraid, at that time? Because you did come up at a time where it was primarily dudes DJing.
Yeah.
So
what made me afraid? It wasn't even the dudes. And I've asked I've asked Marvel, I've asked Cut Corners, I each asked them this question. How do you get over? Because I think my personal music taste is it's personal to me. It's something special to me. How do you deal when someone doesn't like the music that you choose? So that's what was keeping me afraid, just not knowing how to deal with someone not, because I love my music that I choose. Yeah. And then all of them pretty much said the same thing,
which was,
you're going to deal with, like, you're going to come across people that don't like it. You just learn to deal. And it's true. I mean, I just had to overcome the fear, which was really keeping me not wanting to play in public. And once I finally got it out of the way, just like, oh, it's not so bad. And then just trusting in my music taste. Yeah.
Do you feel in those moments, I'm curious, of like, if you're seeing that people aren't vibing, does that put a pressure on you to feel like, oh, I need to change the direction of what I'm playing to feed to the crowd?
Yeah.
And just respond?
Yeah. Yeah, that's part of it, right? You have to read the room.
Yeah.
I think that's what's important with most DJs. You can't just play what you want to play. Then you're not playing for people.
Yeah.
For me, my driving force is seeing people enjoy themselves. If I have just one person dancing at the end of the night, I've done my job. If I have just one person compliment, oh my gosh, I forgot this song, or I love this song, what is it? Or I just had so much fun. I just need one person, and that makes my night. I don't need a whole club full of people to go nuts. Yeah.
I really love that in your bio you included OPM.
Yeah.
I'd love to know more about how you got into OPM, other than the obvious, you're a fan. But for you, like, why is that important to rep that?
Well, interestingly enough, I didn't grow up with OPM. My parents didn't listen to it. I didn't know any of it. This is all new discovery, maybe within the last 5 years.
Oh, what? Okay. Yeah. Tell me more.
So my parents, I didn't grow up listening to any Filipino music. I didn't grow up watching any Filipino movies. None of that. No
Dolphy?
Oh. I mean, I did watch Starzan when I was younger, but our parents would like rent movies and they'd bring it home and watch Filipino. My parents never did.
Okay.
Not at all. So yeah, this is all a new discovery. I think the seed was planted maybe about 7 or 8 years ago. It was my sister. And she was like, oh, I'm really into like Filipino music right now. I was like, why? I was still in my like anti-Filipino phase.
Yeah.
And there was me diving deeper into my Filipino culture also during the pandemic that kind of opened the door with me trying to like dig into music and stuff like that. And then being invited to DJ at Filipino festivals like Lapu Lapu and Kamayan Fest. And the first one that I DJ'd was Cultura. And that really Yeah. So that one really, and I was just like, I'm going to do a whole set of Pinoy music.
And digging into it.
Yeah.
And what did you think as you started to go deeper
I
down that?
I love it. I'm totally like the hip hop. Filipino hip hop is really something that I'm into right now. But I love Four of Spades, like favorite, and I'm just seeing like all these like indie bands too that are coming up like recently that I'm just like, oh, you guys are so good, so good. But it's always been in there, like that talent. obviously singing, the talent of singing, but yeah, it's been a fun journey trying to discover new old Filipino music too.
From something you just mentioned, I
Mhm.
would love to know, how did the I'm anti-Filipino of my own culture into like, now I really want to dive deep into it. How did that happen for you?
Okay, so
What I like to call the decolonial journey.
so I mean, when I grew up, I was always in Filipino culture. I mean, I went to St. Pat's, which, like I said, was 95%. So growing up, not being around Filipinos was never a thing.
Yep.
And then I moved to Burnaby when I was 10, stayed there for 3 years. And the school I went to was primarily white.
Mm-hmm.
And then moving back to Vancouver and going to Notre Dame, that was also primarily white. So primarily Italian and Croatian.
Mm.
Around the high school time was when I was kind of like, mind you, my best friends are still Filipino. I've been friends with them since I was 8 and 12. But like, I still avoided the Filipino. There's just a lot of toxicity within the Filipino community that I grew up being like, ew, this is gross. A lot of like cockiness, a lot of clout chasing, a lot of
pride.
Ego. Yeah. There's a difference between Filipino ego and Filipino pride. It's good to be proud, but then the arrogance of the Filipino ego.
Suplada.
Yeah. All of that. And then entering to my 20s and, discovering myself, I fully was bragging to my Filipino friends, like, oh, my friends are white, like as if it's some sort of flex. Like, I'm so freaking cool.
As if it's a flex.
I admit it. Like, even my closest girlfriends, they'd be like, remember when you were very, I'm like, yes, I admit.
Yeah.
And it was actually the birth of Noxy in 2013 that like made me take a step back and be like, well, you're half white and you're half Filipino, you're half Caucasian, you're half Filipino, but there's nothing I can teach you about myself because I've been away from it for so long, like 10, 15 years at the very least at the time, by the time he was born. And so that kind of started the wheels going on in my head, being like, okay, he needs to learn about himself too. He needs to learn about my side of who he is. And so time went on, and slowly I was getting to a place of accepting my Filipino culture. And then it was the pandemic. So systems of oppression, white supremacy, George Floyd, all of that stuff started to come about. And then you're also inside and you're like seeing all these stories, and like you start to question a lot of things and colonialism, all of that stuff. And then coming out of the pandemic, it was like, okay, let's make up for lost time.
Wow. I think that's really beautiful. It's interesting that the pandemic brought out DJing out of you.
Yeah, that too.
And also like connecting with your Filipino roots.
Yeah.
And I feel like after that, when I also came back to Vancouver from my Mexico chapter during the blip of the panini, I started to see you around, and there were more Filipino events and community gatherings and more people mobilizing and coming together. And that was really cool to see.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see that right here and now. I want to know more about Wild Thang DJs and how did that collective start and how did you become part of it?
So Wild Thang DJs, this is when I was brand new playing out in public.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, she opened up a restaurant called Wild Thang, and she was like, you need to play more, like come and just play. And so I was there weekly, and I appreciated that they would let me play what I wanted to play, which my number one thing is house.
Yes.
And let's clarify, not EDM, not Jersey Shore, soulful Chicago house.
Heyo.
Which I always have to like preface because people assume. And through that, Wacky, shout out Wacky in the Philippines, he actually discovered me on social media and decided to have dinner at Wild Thang restaurant. I had no idea he was there. And he DM'd me the next day and was like, hey, I really enjoyed your music you were playing. I was like, oh, thank you so much. And then I kind of crept his Instagram and I saw that he was a DJ. He moved here from the Philippines, I think like 3 years prior.
Okay.
He's also like an amazing musician. He plays guitar, he plays drums. And just out of just chatting, I was like, hey, do you want to join me next time? And I was like, yeah, totally. Because I didn't see if he was doing any DJing here. So he joined me one night, and we just, like, it was amazing. Had so much fun. And then with G, Champagne, Gerald, hi. We have known each other for a really, really long time. So on the come up with all the DJs that I had mentioned earlier, he was one of them. And we did Calabash Class of 94 together for a while. So I was the cover girl. And then it was through DJing at Calabash, because it's primarily hip hop, that I discovered that G's first love of DJing was actually house.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're like, this whole time?
Yeah, exactly. And then, so when he found out that I was DJing at Wild Thang playing house, I invited him, because discovering that, because I always saw him as, he's like decked out in Supreme. He's like, he's got his Jordans. I just always assumed that he was like a hip hop dude.
Yeah.
And then one day I invited all of us, all three of us, to play at Wild Thang. And we just, like, after the end of that night, we're just like, we had so much fun. Do you want to do this together? So it wasn't a conscious thing that we were going to get together. It wasn't a conscious thing that we were all Filipino. It just, we loved the same music and we had so much fun doing it. It'd be really cool if we had a collective. And as a joke, we were like, we should be called Wild Thang DJs, because this is where we started DJing together. And we laughed and we're like, yeah, let's do it.
This is how names are born.
Yeah.
That's how that happens.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So you're raising the next gen.
Yeah.
You're raising the next gen.
Yeah.
A b-boy, a singer, creative, young ones. What has it been like watching your kids grow up inside dance and music culture?
Well, I will say Noxie being a breakdancer has kind of thrown me for a loop, because I avoided break. I really did.
Spoken like a true previous,
just
like b-boy ex-girlfriend.
Been there. No girlfriend. We had a situationship for a little bit. Yeah. But dudes are nice, friendly. It was a great experience. But I also knew there were certain aspects of it that I didn't want to have to deal with.
Yeah.
So Knox showed at a very young age, at 3 or 4, that he could dance. Like, he made his own freestyle to a Division song, and it was just like, whoa. And he kind of picked up, like, I could hear the musicality. So being a dancer myself, you can see it.
Yes.
And then I asked my dancer friends, I'm like, does he actually have something? And unanimously, they were like, yeah, put him in dance. So it was really, his first dance classes were with Jojo, doing hip hop at Boogaloo. And then the pandemic happened. And so he didn't dance for like a couple years. And because we live so close to Trout Lake, and I also know Jamie, because being within the dance community, I wasn't just going to send him off to like whoever. Like, obviously I know who the teachers are. So I knew Jamie, and I was like, fine, I'll just put you into break. I just wanted you to do dance. Because at that point, I was just so sad that he hadn't danced for 2 years. And it was close, and it was convenient, and it was like on the cheaper end of classes. And so he started January 2022. Wow. And his first battle was like in April of 2022. And Jamie was like, he should really battle. He has something. I was like, damn it. so I didn't know that it was going to stick.
That was only like 3.5 years ago, not even fully 4 years ago. And the last battle I saw him in, I was just like, dude, you are getting exponentially better.
He just needs to practice more. Spoken like a parent.
Practice your breaking. Come on.
And then with Koa, I remember he was like 2. I have videos. He was like 2 years old, and he'd be like, Mom, can I listen to this song? And he'd sing the melody like perfect pitch, and I'd like get it. And I was like, whoa, okay, you have a pretty good ear. And so I was like, oh, so is it this song? He's like, yeah. Because some people will be like, hey, can you play this song? And they'll sing it. And you're like, I don't know what song this is. Like, what is it? Like, at a very young age, he had like perfect pitch. So it would make life a little bit easier if like both of them were into the same thing. But yeah.
So then how does that feel? I guess, especially coming from your previous upbringing where it's like, this was something you wanted to pursue, and now...
And it was taken away from me by my parents. I think because I have that experience, learning to be supportive of their dreams and what they want. Not to say that my parents didn't want that for me. But obviously at the time, because they just immigrated here to give us a better life, they're thinking workforce.
Yeah.
Even though they're the ones that introduced creativity to us. They're the ones that put us into music. They're the ones that put me into the dance classes. And then you take it away from me. Like, that was kind of like a messed up with my head a little bit. So trying to be there and supportive of them with the things that they want to do. And yeah, I'm very lucky. And I hope my kids know that they're lucky too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What values do you hope that your kids absorb from being around DJs and dancers and our community spaces?
That you don't know everything. Don't ever believe that you know everything. There's always room to ask questions. There's always room to learn. Always room to learn. Although maybe Knox is to a degree somewhat like successful in where he's at in terms of his dance. You're not the best. Don't think that you are. You know, just keep training, keep learning, keep growing. And same with Koa too. Yeah.
How does it feel for you to now share these like things that you love and are passionate about, and seeing that your kids have this natural inclination and interest towards it?
Well, it's not a surprise, to be honest. My husband too, he sings, he plays guitar. He was a lead singer of a screamo band.
Oh my god.
They've toured all over Western Canada.
Okay.
Yeah, so just it just kind of made sense that they'd be into the arts.
Okay, so there are a few more things I definitely want to get into. I'd love to know a little bit more about, like, how do you feel music and community has played a role in your healing lately, especially coming out of what our community went through, what you personally went through last year with Lapu Lapu. How do you feel now?
Oh my gosh. The fact that Lapu Lapu happened, because I was not only an organizer, but I was also an entertainer. I was DJing at the event, and then also I was throwing the breakdancing battle.
Which I missed. I came late to the party, but I made it just in time to hold down the electric slide for me and the titas.
Yeah. I played it for you guys.
I know.
And I'm really upset that I lost all that footage that I took of the breakdance battle. But and then just like the concert at the end with Black Eyed Peas, like, it was just such a unifying experience. And obviously I had access backstage. So enjoying that with Knox and him pretending he was like media and taking all this video from backstage. And he got to go like backstage while they were on stage, and you see like the sea of like Filipinos with their hands up in the air in the sunshine.
That's an epic thing for a young one.
Yeah. And him breakdancing to the side, and like Swiggle and Talilo like gifted him an akali stick while they were performing. Like, it was just such a, I think, core memory for all of us. After the incident and then being in the hospital for a while, I was in my bubble, so I didn't know what was going on in the rest of the world. I was just kind of like recovering and like dealing with this new reality of just trying to get out of bed and recover. But early on, my friends from Toronto, so DJ Mensa and Headley and Big Jacks, shout out, they threw an event while I was still in the hospital, and I FaceTime with Headley's wife, Tina, and she brought me around to the event, and I got to see them, and just through music, again, another example of that. So music has always been a part of healing, regardless of whatever has happened to me since Lapu Lapu. It's just always been a staple in my life, and as I believe it helps almost everybody, regardless of what genre you listen to. It just always will help you kind of come out of what darkness that you're going through, whether it's the music or the lyrics. So that's where things started, at least from Lapu Lapu, how it's helped with my recovery, and it's just continued to do so. So when I found out that Fortune Sound Club was going to have a huge fundraiser, I made that my goal to attend, just to show my appreciation for how these young people have put something together in such a short amount of time. And I was able to do so. I mean, the incident happened April 28th. I was discharged 10 days later. And although those stairs, I literally had no idea how I was going to do it. And I did it slowly. And everybody around me, so supportive, so helpful. They like even the bouncers like lugging my wheel because they don't have an elevator, right?
Oh, I know.
So so they lug my like wheelchair in and just watching all the performances. Another example of us using our music to uplift everyone, and just it was so special. And then continuing on since then, all of the opportunities that I've been given to play at events. So the three stripe throwdown at Adidas, which I probably shouldn't have DJ'd, but I wasn't about to miss out on my ultimate dream was to DJ a house battle of that magnitude. It was so special, right? Yeah, it was there. Yeah.
And you look good in Adidas, let's be honest.
Okay.
Shout out. Yeah. They didn't
Shout out
sponsor them. Don't show it. They didn't sponsor it.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
And then, so Make Good Party reached out to me. I DJ'd for Morning Disco, which was so special, like so awesome. And Public Disco at the end of the summer. So yeah, I've been given a lot of opportunities. And I think for my mental health, being involved in being able to play music has helped with my recovery as well. Yeah.
What do you dream of and aspire to now?
Well, I'm old, so
okay.
I am. I'm old.
You're not Lola yet. Okay,
Not
calm
yet,
down.
but
Calm down.
I am definitely Tita category.
Yes.
At this point, I just turned 45. So, in my DJ journey, I'm kind of struggling a little bit. So, because I haven't been in the game for 20 something years, there isn't an opportunity for me to like build my name really as others that have been in it for so long. And then I'm also now at this point up against 20-year-olds who they have a lot of opportunity to like hustle, which I don't. I have a family of 2 kids.
It's a different kind of hustle.
It's a different kind of hustle. So I don't have space to do that. So I'm just pretty much relying on word of mouth, really. And my ultimate goal isn't to play like a huge club or anything. I just want to be able to play more house events, really. And I'm seeing that the difficulty is like just trying to find a venue. There aren't any venues, and most other venues are already established with their like hip hop DJs. Yeah. So,
well, it's 2026.
Yeah.
It's a new year.
Yeah.
I am definitely wishing for you more house dance events.
Yes. Yay. Thank you.
And venues.
Yeah.
I
Already
definitely
there.
have rapid fire fun questions.
Okay. Yeah. Shoot.
We're just going to get into it. First thing, don't overthink it.
Okay.
Just what comes up in your mind. Okay. Song that makes you cry every time.
I Can't Make You Love Me by Bonnie Raitt.
One track that you wish you could hear again for the first time.
You Don't Know Me by Armand Van Helden.
It's your last meal on earth. What's on the table being served up?
Oh, all the Filipino food.
Favorite post DJ set merienda, your snack, your go-to snack.
Deep fried squid.
Oh,
Yeah.
Salt and pepper?
Yes.
Yum.
Yes.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Best part about being a mom right now.
Oh, I'm gonna cry. Just seeing them grow into the boys that they're becoming.
One Vancouver artist or DJ more people should know.
I really like The Rise.
Okay.
He's amazing. I love watching him. Yeah.
One word to describe Vancouver's dance community.
Oh, growing and thriving. I know that's 3 words. But it is just so cool to watch it grow, especially from the POV that I've had, 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah.
It is really, really cool to watch.
One word to describe the season of life you're in right now.
Gratitude.
Oh, Christine, I love you. Thank you so much for making time
Thanks for having
this.
me.
Literally been trying to do this for a year.
Yeah.
And yeah, I feel like I got to know so much about Vancouver's dance community from way back pieces of history that I didn't even know about.
Shout out Harmonics.
And what's sick, I said, what's sick is that like this archive of now 117 interviews has been growing and building, that we could literally map out now all these different things, from the venues that had existed to the different dance crews that have existed within our creative timeline. Like, this is incredible. Anyway, I really appreciate you spending time, making time. I really appreciate everyone who's tuned in on the live stream. I know Mar's been on here. Joy, shout outs to the both of you and the rest of our dope Filipino community. Big shout outs to Jam and Cameron, who's live stream operator today. If anybody would like to potentially be in the hot seat, you are a creative in Vancity, you want to share your story, there will be a QR code that pops up on the edited version of this video. You can scan it, you can fill out the form. I'll have a look, and who knows, maybe one day you might be sitting next to me and we could chat about you. But for now, this has been Tender, aka Christy. Yes. My name is Kazi. Big shout outs to TELUS STORYHIVE for powering today's episode. Y'all have been watching STORYHIVE on location with beats, eats, and more. Bye.